All right, video log, December 27th at 10:36 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. Yeah, so I got in trouble this morning. I'm in the DoD safe house where they have access to the router and everything like that. And this morning I woke up kind of in a tear because of the, basically I'm being told to own my side of the war crimes. Does that make sense? Which is really strange, being that I'm innocent. Does that make sense? So, so I guess, that led me into a rant, questioning the implementation of the DHS and what they deem disinformation. Specifically, you got Mayorkas up here, which, my family got here in 1636. The Mosses did, in Old Roanoke, Virginia. I'm a direct descendant, or I have a common ancestor on the Moss side with Jackie Kennedy. And I'm from the Blackfoot ancestry. So I'm wondering how this Mayorkas dude, who is this guy? This Mayorkas guy, he's like some Cuban guy, and he's telling people what they can and can't say in America. Like, he's trying to make it against the law to say certain things, which is really confusing to me. So I raised this point this morning, and I must have ruffled some feathers because I got all the MAC addresses on my devices are blocked. I can't get on the internet. My keeper here, the informant is her devices are able to get on. My devices are not, because they don't want me to say this out loud, that this Cuban fella who appears to be meandering, dabbling in communistic sort of techniques. I mean, I'm trying to keep an open mind here about, whether this is American communism or not. But the whole implementation and the control mechanism, I mean, basically, if you have somebody who's suspected of murder, for example, you have to have, like, there has to have been a crime that's taken place, like an actual murder. But it doesn't exist with this political targeting. Does that make sense? With this political targeting, they can say you're a suspect of whatever, right, without any crime. And that allows them to do whatever they want to do. I mean, basically, it allows them to manipulate all aspects of your life and drive you into a DOD holding safe area where they have cameras in the bathrooms and all the sort of kinky stuff that Mayorkas and his friends are into, I guess. Communistic implementations, right? Freezing assets, having people tracking me via NSO Pegasus, having people pick me up, taking me to a labor camp. I complained that it was a labor camp, and these are informants. They're innocent people. They're just trying to do what's best for their country. Does that make sense? But they're being manipulated into basically being, I think my most recent thing that got everybody upset was that I'm accusing them of violating my 13th Amendment right of involuntary servitude, because I suspect that they're implementing policy based off of my direction and or iterating on the NSO products and spyware products based off of my use case, which would be like, I'm claiming human experimentation because this thing has not been tested. So they're actually like developing and iterating upon a platform, a capitalistic platform that they're selling, right? Using research from human experimentation that Mayorkas is facilitating, right? And covering up. I mean, I was denied political asylum at the French embassy in D.C. Last year on Bastille Day by the U.S. Secret Service due to pressure from the U.S. Secret Service. I followed the right, appropriate, appellate, whistleblower stuff, and it's being blocked through the DHS OIG. I've kept them in the loop on the whole thing. This is in my filing in U.S. District Court too. I'm just trying to figure out exactly, like, there's an undertone this morning. I got a dossier this morning. We get dossiers. I get a dossier every morning because they're antisocial, but they show me, basically what I need to do to be a better, servant, so that I can get out of my situation. Does that make sense? So I have to play ball so I can get back on the internet. And this is just me. This is just me documenting my situation and video log for 1227, I suppose. In any case, I started this as a Democrat. I was attacked by and targeted by Republicans. And as I like to say, the Republicans burnt my house down and the Democrats watched it happen. and they're covering it up. And well, I'm sorry, they're my concern is not even the coup d'état or the act of coup d'état. And at this point, my concern is that this is a communistic implementation. I'm calling him the Alpha Charlie. I mean, this is what it is. It's American communism. And Charlie comes from communism. That's why we call the Vietnamese Charlie, by the way. So I'm calling this Alpha Charlie. What's going on here, or American communism? What's going on here with this whole disinformation campaign? I mean, do I think that there's some problems with disinformation? Sure, certainly. Do I think it's worth just totally erasing everything that we've done with? I mean, the First Amendment says Congress shall pass no law that supersedes the right to free speech or peacefully communicate or peacefully assemble or any of these things. When you're in FISA, all of this has been distorted and taken away. But beyond that, he's trying to make it where it's everybody, and even if it's personal, like Mayorkas, it's personal with me and Mayorkas. Does that make sense? It's personal. He denied me political asylum. He's covering up whistleblower channels. It's personal. This is American communism. This is a Cuban. This is a Cuban that got here when? When did Mayorkas' affluent family from Greece that came through the communistic spaces of Cuba to arrive here to implement American communism? Come on, man. It's personal. And he don't want anybody to hear me say that, which is too bad, They could just let me out of my situation. They've committed war crimes. They want to know my part of it. What's my part in it? My part is enduring it so that I could document and prove it so that we could stop American communism, Mr. Cuban Mayorkas.